There we go. Okay, I'm live on YouTube and Facebook now, so I'm just waiting for people to turn up. Sitting here all by myself. Okay. Okay, hello. Just waiting for people to turn up. All right. What day is it? Oh, it's Thursday. Just had a panic. I thought, am I here the wrong day? Not that it matters, really. Okay. Am I the only one that keeps toilet paper in her desk drawer instead of Kleenex? Because I don't like a big Kleenex box. So when the toilet roll gets low, I start to put them in my desk. Oh, boy. Okay. Okay, so we got a few people here. You can start asking questions anytime you want. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm on here. I was on here every day for 2 years on social media. I have only been on Facebook for about 6 months now. But yeah, I've been doing it for a couple of years now. I'm down to maybe 4 or 5 times a week doing these lives. And anyway, check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I can't take everyone on these days because I'm really busy. But yeah, you can look into coaching if you really want to work with me. Check it out first and then let me know the ages of your kids and what you're struggling with. So, oh, sorry, I got a sore neck. Anyway. Okay, what are age-appropriate consequences for 4 and 5 years old? Don't worry about the consequences. Everyone's sort of, what's a good consequence? It really is irrelevant. It's just if you do something bad, then you do a good deed to make it up to you. Like it's just usually a chore. Like do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. Make the chore about 2 minutes long, but it has to be done within a 15-minute time frame. Like once you start the timer, always use timers. So yeah, don't worry about that. That's the first consequence. If they don't do that, then you resort to 24-hour media blackout, or you take their favorite toy away for 24 hours or something. So the first one is a positive action. If they won't do it, then you do the negative deprivation. Once you've said it, though, you have to do it. You can't threaten with that. You have to just say, okay, you didn't do that. 15 minutes is up. 24-hour media blackout starts now. And make it happen. Okay. Just waiting for your questions. I want to thank you for your support here on Facebook. I think I've been on Facebook now for about 6 months, and I've grown really quickly, and I'm just really grateful for that. Thanks so much. This was my smallest platform, but it's growing, it's catching up, and the lives are busy now too. This used to be my slowest live, was the Facebook one. And but now it's picking up. It's almost as busy as Instagram and TikTok now. How to react with 2-year-old who runs away and wants to be chased at bedtime, diaper change, etc. Okay, yeah, just catch them when you're in the house. But if you're out and they take off, put them on a leash when you go out. There's no way you can allow that. And a game of chase in the house also turns into a game of chase outside too sometimes. So yeah, I really don't encourage that. I just say no. And don't tell them what you're going to do until you've got their arm. Like, okay, we're going to go have a bath now. And then that gives them an opportunity to run. I'd grab their arm and say, okay, bath time. So yeah, just get one step ahead of them. They're only 2, right? Okay. Been doing a lot of spreadsheet work. I don't know anything about spreadsheets. I just find it agonizing. So my neck's killing me today. Okay, just waiting for your questions. In the meantime, I'm going to discuss my top. Oof, there's a whole bunch of stuff I could talk about. I don't usually look at my notes anymore. I got tons of stuff I could talk about here. Okay, these are my top 5 tips for parenting not teenagers, toddlers. Number 1 is you child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler that's under the age of 3, you connect with them in their world. Watch how they play and join in. Don't go to the nail salon with them. Go to the park and roll down the hill. They look at you differently when you get good at entering their world. Number 4 is when you want to discipline a toddler, you do so in their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. So you do consistent corrective actions. It'll probably take about 50 times. They don't learn right away. It's a repetition thing. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. Yeah, they're just cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. Okay, they don't have any impulse control. You know, I'm going to read this out and I'm going to tell you what I was just thinking. How would you suggest focusing on ADHD 8-year-old not wanting to be engaged in homework or practicing work at home? I never, how do I put this? Most of the kids I worked with were alphabet kids. They had some acronym after their name. I never identified that with them. Like what I mean is I just dealt with the kid and their own specific needs. So ADHD, I don't know what you mean by that. They're no different from other human beings. They just might take a little bit more patience. But yeah, if they don't want to do their homework, then just say, well, if you don't want to, or sure, if you want to play games, or like, wait till they ask for something. Can I play video games? Sure, as soon as you've done your homework, use the as soon as method. So that's what I do with my kids. That's why I never told them what to do. Hi, Denmark. Our biggest challenge right now is that we need help with our 3-year-old does his back and forth thing. It's much worse at bedtime where she asks for something. No, okay. Check out my boot camp course because you got a few things going on in there. It just means she doesn't respect you. So look at the boot camp course, which is all about you. Everything I teach is all about you because I teach parenting. I don't teach toddlering or teenagering or childing. I teach parenting. So you lead, they will follow. Okay. Can I have 2 behaviors on the behavior board at the same time for one child? No, one rule per week. It's like you've got to master just 1 per week. And then the next week you got another one. Now you've got 2, but 2 weeks for 2. And then week 3, you got 3. You don't go past there. Sort of changes after that. But yeah, check out the boot camp course. That goes in much more detail about all this. Actually, usually when people hire me for coaching, they've already tried a behavior board. I always suggest you don't. But today I had a client who they tried the behavior board and it went really well. Actually, what they had done was they bought the course, the boot camp course. Then they decided that they wanted to transfer over to coaching instead. So that's what we did. And, but yeah, they're doing really well because they had done the course. They did week 1 in the course, the boot camp course, but they did really well. I don't even think I changed that first week. And I said, great, we'll just do week 2 now. But most people, there's always something might change, but not with this family. Oh, pardon me, I did, but it wasn't a big deal. I did change one little thing. But yeah, give it a go. And if you're going to use a behavior, it's never an attitude thing. You never put down no yelling, no attitude, be polite, use your manners, nothing like that. That's ridiculous because all those things will happen organically once they respect you. If they are being disrespectful towards you and they have a bad attitude towards you, that means that you're not a leader yet. So you got to work on yourself. You lead, they will follow. But start with something really simple, like put your dirty clothes in the hamper and nowhere else. So they can't lay on the floor all day and then they go in the hamper. How to get started being a leader when we've been pretty permissive / explosive parents. Check out the boot camp course, or at the least check out the behavior board. It'll just teach you how to get organized. It gives you something to focus on, okay? And it also, this was so cute. A little while ago, I had a client, and they have a 3-year-old and a 15-month-old. And the 3-year-old little boy was a hitter, and now the 15-month-old little girl is following suit. She's starting to hit too. So his behavior board is no hitting. So he's getting good at that. But what was really cute was his little sister hit him. Normally, he would have hit her back. But you know what he did? He took her hand and he walked over to the behavior board and he said, see, no hitting. He was using the behavior board with his little sister. He would have hit her before. Is that the cutest thing? Oh, I just thought that was adorable. My teen thinks that rules don't apply to them and them. Oh, okay. And doesn't care about consequences. It's so frustrating. I guess that's that politically correct statement. So I was still not used to them in my 60s. How do I explain this? Teenagers are kind of next level. That's all coaching. But I'm going to read out my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Because if they don't respect you and you're just going to set down rules for them, good luck with that. It's not going to work. Okay, this is number 1 with my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. When you get good at listening, they just start to tell you everything. It just changes things. So if they want your advice, they'll ask for it. Don't offer it. Don't offer your advice. Just listen and show understanding and empathy and stop talking. Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything with a teenager. It's not a blanket statement, but something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Give that a go. You give respect to get it. Number 3 is with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If you're going to try and micromanage a teenager, good luck with that. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. It's okay to make mistakes, right? Just like you did, just like you do. It's okay. There's no shame in not being perfect. A lot of parents want to shame their teenagers, and boy, oh boy, that's going to backfire. 2-year-old pushes at school but not at home. How do I correct when I'm not there? You can't. They're in the moment. They're right in the present moment. There's nothing you can do at home about that. Usually the daycare knows how to deal with that. And they don't push at school because no one else is grabbing their toys, probably. It's probably why. But yeah, I can't help you with that. They're only 2 and you're not there because they are in the moment, in the present, right here, right now. And they're not about words, they're about actions. So yeah. I don't know I have no idea what you mean by this. Should I get my kids in trouble for not getting in the bath or eating dinner? I don't know what you mean by in trouble. We don't do that sort of thing. Is there a consequence, you mean, for not getting in the bath or eating dinner? Yeah, check out the boot camp course because there sort of is, but especially with mealtime battles, it's a little bit more complicated. You don't want to use food or hygiene in the discipline department, really. But anyway, yeah, I can't really answer that. But no, you're never getting your kids in trouble. How to deal with a 5-year-old girl who whines about everything and talks back. That's on you. That's a learned behavior. They past the age of 4, they only do what works. It means you must reward that somehow. It either upsets you or you answer it. So yeah, that's on you. You lead, that wouldn't happen. If you're a leader, that does not happen. So work on yourself. Everyone wants to fix their kids, but really they're just reflecting your parenting. Between the ages of 3 and 12 especially, that's when you're at the height of your leadership. All their behaviors are a direct result of your parenting. People I say, I want to fix, not people who hire me. They've already watched me long enough. They go, I know it's me. I get it. Because leaders lead and children follow. You're reacting to them. Rather get them to react to you. If you're a calm leader, they wouldn't act like that. Okay, I can't answer this, and I'm going to tell you why. How would you deal with living with a roommate who has 2 kids who aren't following this program? You can't tell other people how to raise their kids. Yeah, I would never do it. Yeah. I give solicited advice. You're asking my advice, but if no one's asking my advice, I never told friends what to do with their kids. Or I would never tell my kids what to do with my grandkids. It's none of my business. So yeah, you can't tell other people how to parent unless they hire you as a parenting coach. That's about it. 6-year-old homeschooled, can't get focus on class. He gets distracted after 10 seconds. Can't help you with that because I'm not a homeschooler. So I can't help you with that. I don't know how you've got it set up. Are you a leader? If not, very hard to homeschool if you're not a leader. Like in other words, if they don't respect you. So you see, it's not the kids, it's you. How good are you at setting up systems? What are they like at bedtime, mealtime? What are they, do they kind of respect you with everything else? And then but if they don't, then you expect them to respect you when it's school time. You see, yeah. Check out my boot camp course. Again, check it out. It's all about you and your leadership. That's all it is. It's not about your kids. It never is. It's all about you. You get control of your own emotions and you just follow through with the program and you'll start to see results. Your emotions are your biggest block. But they just get me so mad and all that. Yeah, but you're the adult here. You got to get control of your own emotions. You got to be really calm. Whenever you're disciplining kids, like using the behavior board, you have to be calm. It's like a business transaction. There's no emotions. And if a kid's yelling at you, not fair, I hate you, I hate you. If you were to respond to that, they've won. I wrote something down. I thought it was really clever, and I can't remember how I worded it. I just came up with it the other day with a client, and I thought, oh, that's brilliant. I'm going to write that down. I hope I wrote it down. Oh, yeah. Here's one of the things that parents do a lot of, and it's a really huge mistake, is you over-explain yourself. The more you explain, the more they complain because they pulled you in. They already understand what you're talking about. Once they start complaining and asking, but I don't understand. I would go like this, whatever, and just keep going about my day. Or I might say, well, you'll learn as we go. Like there's no way I would over-explain. Everyone tells me how brilliant their kids are, and then they get pulled into their kids all of a sudden become morons that they don't understand this. There's a rule and a consequence. See what I mean? Like, You're over explaining. They are going like this and they're bringing you in. That's all they're doing. It's pure manipulation. But not fair. I don't understand that. You don't love me. I don't love you. Like, whatever. Like, there's no way I'd be pulled into that. Pure manipulation. I would say that's the number one thing that parents get pulled into, is it over explaining themselves. But he doesn't understand. Wait a minute. You just told me he's a genius, and now he doesn't understand a rule and a consequence. Come on. Which is it? Is he a moron or a genius? Like, come on. You can't have it both ways. So, yeah. I always find that fascinating. I couldn't, because, I don't know. I don't think so. It's not because I have a lot of experience with kids. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. Even back then, I wouldn't have explained myself. Once is fair enough, and they get it. Like, I don't repeat myself. I don't explain myself. So even back then, I can't understand why you would. You've already said, okay, it's bedtime, 8 o'clock, but not fair, but I don't know. I wouldn't repeat that. It's like, I've already said bedtime. They're going to bed. So, yeah, it's the repeating yourself. And I think if you keep getting pulled in by them that they'll give up, it makes it 100 times worse. What's a behavior board? Stephanie asks. Behavior board's free. It's up above. It's a rule and a consequence for everybody, parents included. Leaders are accountable. You're responsible for your actions. You're showing them how it's done. So, like, if you yell, if you're a yeller, your rule is always no yelling. If you yell, you have to play hide and seek with them for 15 minutes or something like that. Not with teenagers, obviously, but you know what I mean. You have to give something to them. So it's teaching children to be accountable and proud of themselves too. Children who are acting out and disrespectful are very ashamed of themselves. Their self-esteem is in the toilet, guaranteed. There's no way a child could be nasty to their parents and feel good about themselves. So you're doing them an injustice by not being a leader for them. And when you're a leader, the goal of a leader is to bring out the best in your kids, to make them feel good about themselves. You know the pool story? I think that's in Facebook here. I don't know where it is. I know on Instagram and TikTok, I've put it. It's the very first video, and it's called Example of Leadership Parenting. It's probably in Facebook too. If you search out Bratbusters pool story, it'll probably turn up. The pool story just shows how I don't let anything go. I deal with bad behavior, but I just deal with it, and then I focus on the good kid. My goal is always to bring out the best in kids. When they like themselves when they're with me, and I bring out the best in them, self-esteem skyrockets, and they would never be rude to someone that makes them feel good. It just doesn't make sense. Why would they? If they feel great about themselves when they're with you, when you're a leader, they treat you really well. Why would they be rude to you? Well, you've kind of answered your own question here. How to deal with a 17-month-old that always wants me to hold her? Just because she wants it doesn't mean you have to do it. You meet their needs and manage their wants. You can hold her for a little while, say, okay, all done, I'm going to go do that now. And then just let her whine and cry and crawl all over you. And just keep doing your business. Like you just said, that wants. Well, what do you do with a 17-year-old who wants drugs and alcohol? You know, like it's the same thing. Just because they want something doesn't mean you've got to give it to them. You got to teach them that you can't have everything you want. So, yeah. Okay, I'm kind of like this. I can understand this from Samantha. 8-year-old son has strong justice mentality, fixates on the injustice done to him, and will harshly take it out on everyone. I wouldn't say I do that, but I don't like injustices. Like, I'll tell you a funny story, actually. I started, I guess it was called preschool back in the day. I was 3, so it would have been 1963. And I went to preschool, and I was kind of an only child. My brother was like 16 years older, so he wasn't trying to take my Barbies off me or anything. So I never really had to share anything, and I didn't understand injustices because I was basically being raised around a bunch of adults. I didn't have any cousins my own age either. I was the youngest of everybody. So I was raised around a bunch of adults who were kind of reasonable and fair, and so I just didn't understand injustices. No one was grabbing stuff off me. Anyway, I started preschool. I can remember this. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'll tell you why. in a minute. Anyway, I noticed all the kids were pushing and shoving to get on the slide. And the teacher was just sitting back. 1963, I think she was probably having a cigarette back in the day. So she was just sitting back. This was her free time. The kids were in the playground area, so she wasn't policing this. So what I did, I thought, this is awful. They're all pushing and shoving, and just the bully's the only one getting on the slide every time. So I went over there and I sorted them all out. I said, no, you were next. It's your turn. I was 3. And and they listened to me. I was sorting them all out because the majority of them wanted a turn and they weren't getting a turn. So they saw listening to me as a way to get a turn. So anyway, I got them all sorted out and I thought it was great. I never did get on the slide. I was so busy organizing everything. So anyway, this was why I remembered it like it was yesterday. I was a very proud kid. Like I never had a tantrum or anything. I didn't want to ever look silly. And my daughter is the same. We're kind of bored. We're kind of boring old ladies, sort of like that. Anyway, and then when my mom came to pick me up, right in front of me, the teacher told her this. She goes, can you please tell Lisa that I'm the teacher? She's not the teacher. And the teacher explained what was happening. And I didn't have the verbiage to explain to my mom what I was doing. So my mom was laughing, though. And I remember her telling my dad at dinner, they didn't think I could hear. She was making dinner and she was telling Dad that I was evidently organizing all the kids. And I just remember how humiliating that was. But I never did well with injustices. I don't understand how you could push in front of people. Like to this day, I'd be humiliated to act like that. So, but yeah, I don't deal very well with it either. But you do learn that you just can't control other people. And it's none of your business what other people are doing. So that's sort of what I learned. So yeah, an 8-year-old say, what other people do, it's not your problem. And you make sure that you're just and fair with him. That's very important. Because whenever kids have fits and tantrums and everything, especially when it's other siblings, it's usually because of injustices. They get very upset when there's an injustice done. When they're toddlers, it doesn't matter. They just want what they want. There's no justice or injustices there. But as they get older and they be able to reason, a lot of their fits and scenes and all that are because of an injustice. So are you being fair and reasonable? Are you following through with what you promise? A lot of parents promise something and then don't do it. The kid has a fit and then you get mad at them. So. 3-year-old hitting, check out the boot camp course. It goes into that and just put no hitting. It's actually on the behavior board. Just the behavior board's free. Check that out. The rule is no hitting. If they hit, there's a consequence. You got to make them accountable. You can't just say, don't hit. It's not very nice. What does that mean? They're going to go, what are you talking about? But yeah, if there's a consequence, they'll learn. It's like if the police said, don't speed, we don't like it, it's not very nice, I'd probably still speed, If there's no threat of a speeding ticket, why wouldn't you? It's kind of like that. We all have to learn to be accountable, and we're all accountable because of consequences. Like that's why we pay our taxes. That's why we pay our rent. That's what, you know what I mean? Like we're accountable. There's going to be a consequence if we don't. Teach your children this when they're young. Prepare them for the world. Oh, it almost sounds a little bit like you're getting this off your chest because there's no real question here. Do you have tips for step parents when your spouse's kids lie, belittle each other, and hit? That's too general of a question. I don't know the situation. And what are your kids potentially doing? Is it just a one-sided thing, or are they just getting the better of your kid? I don't know. I would have to assess that whole situation before I could answer that. It's too big of a question on here because I'm not entirely sure that you're right. You might be, but I don't know. Because oftentimes when people hire me for coaching, it's quite different from what they think. Perhaps your kids are being treated unfairly. Maybe they're getting more. I don't know. Well, you asked if this as a grandmother asking about your son and daughter-in-law. I only give parenting advice because if I gave you advice, then I'm not going to tell someone else how to tell someone else how to parent because I would never tell my kids how to parent. It's none of my business. I'm not a Badinsky. There's no way. No way. Yeah, because as soon as you give them advice, you're actually insulting them, right? It would be like going up to an overweight person and giving them advice on how to lose weight. It's like that. So yeah, that's why I would never tell anyone how to parent. You're soliciting my advice here as a parenting coach, but in my personal life, I would never tell someone how to parent. It's an insult. What you could say, though, is what some people say, hey, I was just looking at parenting stuff and I found this woman, she's kind of interesting. She's got some different approach or something. That's how some grandparents have introduced me, but they don't insult their kids by, you know what I'm saying? Like if they complain to you, but not if they don't come to you first complaining about their kids. Yeah, but think about it that way. Would you go up to a friend and say, hey, I got this great idea how you could lose some weight? Woo! It's the same thing. It's same thing. How would you feel? Ooh. Think about it. Because people ask me, would you tell your kids how to raise their kids? I'm sure you'll be telling your kids how to raise your kids. No one in my personal life would say that to me, because why would I? I'm a good mother-in-law. I'm a good mother. I would not insult them. I would give advice on little things, like if I heard about this thing that might soothe a baby or something, but not, you know what I mean? Like just like some product out there that I saw, I might, something like that. But no, not on parenting advice. No, not at all. This is, I'm going to read it out, but I'm going to tell you why I don't really have an answer. Thoughts on how to parent while homeschooling? Well, it's all the consistency. Here now we're in school. School's in session. I'm your teacher. Now I'm your parent. You got to get parenting sorted out before you can get homeschooling sorted out. Because I'll tell you, if you don't have respect with parenting, how on earth are you going to homeschool? I have found a lot of not all of them, but a lot of my homeschooling clients, when they hire me, it's teenage stuff or something. But usually they have to have some level of respect to be able to homeschool, because it's a very difficult thing to do if you don't have respect. So yeah. Okay, I have been ignoring my 4-year-old during tantrums and following your advice, and it's working so well already. I have been staying calm during the storm also, so it has changed the home dynamic. Thank you. You're very welcome. It's all your own challenge. I always say, you be calm during the storms and you can be crazy during the rainbows, the happy times. But when the kids go nuts or they're having a tantrum or something, you're just standing there filing your nails like you're waiting. You just got to look like you're just waiting for a bus, like it's not bothering you at all. If you look like that's bothering you, they just won. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Oh, do you think it's okay for one parent to jump in when the other parent is asking the child to do something? So one parent to undermine the other? No, of course it's not. No, you have to figure that out. You have to figure that out behind the scenes. Like, who's going to be in charge of this from now on? Here's how we're going to deal with it. You could say to me, "Can we go talk in the other room?" And then you can go work it out together. But yeah, you can't. And yeah, they're going to play you against each other. By the way, you gotta be a united front. That's so. Like, I was divorced, and we were still a united front. I was very much the leader. We all knew that, but we were very much a united front. Like, if they'd ever disrespected their father, which they wouldn't have done, because they had a leader, right? If they have a leader, they don't disrespect anybody. So, but if they had, I would have been all over them. You know, that's your father, and and vice versa too. So you got to be a united front for your kids, even if you're not together. Or try to be anyway. How to handle my 3-year-old to stop hitting? I think I already answered that, or it's a common problem anyway. Someone else asked that, or it was you. Look out the free behavior board. It's in the link above. All my stuff, my services, my coaching, and all that, that's all in that one link above. And use the behavior board is completely free. And the example is no hitting. And it explains it, how you deal with that. How specifically do I become the leader? Is it all about the behavior board? That's how you start. It's like, I would never use a behavior board. It's a teaching tool to teach you how to do it. So you learn step by step by step, and it gives you a little bit of an edge because you've got something else to blame. And it's a little bit easier to do. Like, it's just, I invented that, put the parents on it too. So you got a rule and a consequence. The reason I would never use one is I deal with everything right in the moment, and I don't want a behavior board coming between me and a kid. I want them looking right at me. So that's because I'm level 10 with what I teach, obviously, or because I invented this. How could I not be level 10? When you're learning, the behavior board is just a teaching tool. You start out with one rule per week for everybody. Then week 2, you've got rule number 2. Now you've got 2 behavior boards. Week 3, now you've got 3 behavior boards. That's 3 different battles or 3 different rules that you're working on with the kids and yourself and everybody. But yeah, it's a teaching tool. Then by week 4, as you'll see if you look at the boot camp course, week 4, you don't use behavior boards anymore. You do more what I did. Like, I don't teach what I did because I was just maintaining respect, really. But no, I worked with hundreds of kids. I had to get respect. But I don't teach what I did because I'm level 10. I teach how to get you there. When I first started my business, I think it was 17 years ago now. When I first started my business, I was teaching parents what I did. And I thought, well, and then I realized they were getting results, but nowhere near what I thought they should. So a year into my business, I invented the behavior board and I put the parents on it too, because I was trying to explain how you have to be accountable. If you mess up, you have to apologize and make amends to the kids too. You've got to have consequences because a leader is not a dictator. You're not an authority. You're not my way or the highway. You listen to me because I'm the parent and the rules don't apply to me. That's not what I'm about at all. I'm about leadership is that you lead and they will follow. They want to see you being accountable. Because if you're the dictator or the authority, they're going to rebel in the teen years. The leader, they don't rebel against. My son was 15 and he says, I could never rebel because you were too reasonable and easy to talk to. I didn't know whether to apologize or celebrate. So yeah, that's what they don't rebel against leaders in the teen years. It's nothing to rebel against. I was too reasonable and easy to talk to. What's to rebel against? Oh, you discuss things too much. You're too reasonable. But because there's so much respect there, they don't tend to go out of line anyway. Ooh, I got to move over to Instagram now. If you want to follow me over there, it's Instagram, Bratbusters Parenting. If not, you can just check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. You have to apply for coaching. You used to be able to sign up directly, but I'm too busy for that now. So my schedule's packed. So check into coaching if you're interested. If not, just look at the boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. It's all about you and your leadership. Take care. Happy parenting. Okay, I'm on Instagram. Okay, YouTube. Hi, my 5-year-old is starting to lie more often and coercing other kids to do so as well at school. I have no lying on the behavior board, but how should I be talking about this? I just put no lying, and every time you find out he's lying, and if the school, and say to the school, I think my kid's lying, just say it like it is. If you find out, can you please let me know? And there's a consequence. If he lies, there's just a consequence. Blah, 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 blah. Do I just go straight to the board no matter how big or small the lie or joke is? Well, is it a lie or is it a joke? I don't know what you mean by that. If it's a lie, you always, no matter how big or small, a lie is a lie. You know, I knew someone, or I heard of someone, I knew someone who was once married to someone who was, I don't know what the terminology was, but they were a compulsive liar. If you'd, evidently, they were so compelled to lie that if you asked that person the time, they couldn't even tell you the correct time. It's evidently some real mental personality. It's a personality disorder. That's what they said it was. So like right now I've got 501 on my Alexa. Oops, shouldn't say the name, she'll answer me. Anyway, but then they would have had to have said, oh, it's 5 o'clock, or you know, they literally could not tell the truth. Isn't that interesting? They had to just fudge it. Even if everyone else could see exactly what time it was, they still could never tell the truth. So a little lie is still a lie. Okay, so now I'm on Instagram. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see everything I have in my business, all my courses, etc., and coaching. Anyway, I also happen to have my free behavior board. That has been free now for 17 or 16 years. I made that up because you're on there too. That's what makes it different. Leaders are accountable. So you have to have a rule of consequence too. Kids love being able to punish their parents. And it's fun for them. So, and that's part of it. You have to show them how this is done. Leaders lead. You don't just talk about what you want, you do it. You show them how it's done. Anyway, so check that out. It's all in the link above. By the way, a whole bunch of people are getting scammed by people pretending to be me. You know, I got a big following now, and you're going to get this. I can't control all the scammers out there. But yeah, if you go to the link above, that is me. And but don't go searching on Google and you're not sure if it's me, you know, and they use my videos, my pictures, my name, and they've even copied a lot of my content, and that's going to happen. So I'm just warning you, a lot of people have lost money. So it's a shame, but I can't control, you know. It's like when people impersonate you, you can't go out and fly all over the world trying to find them. Okay. Not myself today. I would say, one of my worst weeks ever in my business. heart-wrenching, something horrible. And yeah, it's not death, but it's close. And and it was funny because I remember when I first started my business, people said, whatever you do, because I specialize in teen crisis work, right? So someone said, whatever you do, don't get emotionally involved. Dumbest advice I ever heard. When you're in the caring field, you have to get emotionally involved. But yeah, this one was, I haven't got over it yet. It's still happened this week. And it was just something that happened in my business. And it was just heartbreaking. And yeah, that's why I look a little bit under the weather, I guess. But yeah, it's a tough business to be in. And I understand why people don't specialize in crisis work. It's next level. But I started my business doing that, crisis work with teenagers. So, but anyway, yeah. Yeah, so a little bit under the weather, a little bit sad, but it's part of it, right? Oh, well. How do I connect with the kids when I'm so tired? I can't help you with, if you're tired, I can't help you with that. But generally, you tend to get more energy when you're happy. So if dealing with the kids is difficult, it's going to get harder before it gets easier usually. Things usually get worse before they get better because you're changing things, you're mixing them up, you're trying to become a leader and you're trying to take charge. They'll often fight back twice as hard as they ever did before, just to test you. And but yeah, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, but it's worth it because when everything's happy, you tend to have more energy anyway, right? Okay. Feel those emotions to heal. Oh, believe me, I did. I'm not feeling sorry for myself at all. I feel really bad for the parent. And yeah. The only reason I brought that up is I know I'm a little bit off today. I know that. But also, I just want to say that, sometimes there is no easy answer. Sometimes things are just really painful. That's why I'm here. I want to help prevent that. I want you to prevent all that really difficult stuff down the road. And you can't always prevent stuff, okay? But that's my goal. I want you to have a happy family. I want you to enjoy your kids. I want you to have as much fun parenting as I did. It was the most fun time of my whole life. What does it mean to be a leader in parenting? It means that you respect your children and they respect you. You bring out the best in your kids so they like themselves when they're with you. Therefore, they treat you like gold. Because if you make someone feel good, aren't they nice to you? If someone makes you feel good about yourself, aren't you nice to them? It's like that. And would you ever be rude or disrespectful or anything to that person who makes you like yourself? The pool story, it's the very first video here on Instagram, and it's called Example of Leadership Parenting. I've got two stories that are the same, but one's teenagers. This one's an 8-year-old, so it's more appropriate for everybody. But it's all about leadership parenting. It's exactly how I feel about leadership parenting. You deal with bad behavior, quick, fast, no emotions, and then you bring out the good kid. You focus on the good kid. Everyone wants to focus on the bad behavior. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. If all you're doing is focusing on their bad behavior, guess what? It's going to get worse and worse and worse. I deal with it. Hey, that was bad. Here's the consequence. Okay, do you want to go out and kick the ball around? It's like that. Do I ignore bad behavior? Never. Do I deal with it? Always. Do I focus on it? Never. Okay, what's your currency when your kids are great at chores and don't have any screen time? We homeschool. What's your current? Oh, so you mean what's your leverage? There's usually something. Like you can take something away. Or you can say, I'll tell you what, we were going to read a book tonight. I'll read for 15 minutes instead of 20. So you can take something that I don't like to take away anything that's loving or nurturing, like reading to them in bed, but you can cut it down. You can say, and you can even put a timer to make a big deal out of it. We usually read for 20 minutes, but because you did that, we're only going to read for 15 minutes tonight. Okay? Something like that. But yeah, you can minimize something good. Yeah. Oh, I got a good one for this one. You're not going to like it though. I'll tell you what I would do. What do you say when 7-year-old tries to make his 4-year-old brother jealous? Like I have, bigger apple, got in the car faster. That big apple would be taken away from him and given to the little brother like that with me. There's no way they would do that in front of me. Oh, I got in the car faster. I'd take them out of the car, let the little brother get in the car. No way. Anytime you're snotty like that, I'll deal with it. So yeah, exactly what I would do. I would have fun doing it too. Are you kidding me with this? Here you go. Out of the car with you. Okay, you get in the car now. And I'd hold that kid back, kicking and screaming. Ah. Learning to share when you only have one child. Tips, please. I don't know what you mean. So you only got one kid. They will end up going to preschool or kindy, and other children will teach them how to share. It's called social pressure. They will learn how to share because other kids won't put up with them not sharing because they're not their toys, right? So they'll learn when they go out. My son screams when we drop him off at daycare. Okay, and you said, and when we drop him off, so okay, so you drop someone off, so they have separation anxiety. They just don't want to be left there. Do the dump and run, like pulling off a band-aid, and you always end like this. Okay, we'll see you later. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not bye, I love you, none of that. Just say real cheery. See you later. Like, in other words, I'll be back. I'm not leaving you here forever. And then just go and do your thing. Let them scream. Daycare's used to that. They get a lot of kids that scream. They do not like the long goodbyes. The parents who drag it out because the kids scream longer and longer. You ask any daycare worker, would you rather the parents do a long goodbye or a short goodbye? They'll all go short goodbye, short, 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 short. Because they know the kid's gonna. The quicker the shorter the goodbye, the quicker they'll get over it. But then some of them just go through. There can be up to 3 to 6 weeks where they'll go through that separation anxiety. You know, we're human beings. We're all a little bit different. You're always going to have that one kid who never deals with it very well. So, but I just talk in like the norm, what most kids would be like. What do you do when a 4-year-old that screams when she's angry or upset for getting disciplined? Okay, that's a learned behavior. Past the age of 4, they only do what works. That means there must be a payoff for that. It must upset you. Yeah, if a kid was screaming at me or yelling, I would just go, well, there you go, eh? And then I'd go off and do it. So I'd acknowledge it, but I'd show them whatever. And then I'd go off and do the dishes or something. La, 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 la. Like, doesn't bother me at all. Like Snow White looking at the birds, you know, wouldn't bother me at all. Any tips for speech delayed kids? Understands everything, but not talking yet. I don't know the age, but I know some kids don't talk or walk till they're 3. I've heard of this. I knew someone. And her mother said years later, she always made a joke out of it. She goes, she didn't walk or talk till she was 3 years old. Then she got up and ran and never shut up. So she was just waiting. So yeah, and I'm not saying that there is a problem. There isn't a problem, but it's, you know, there's all these milestones that you're supposed to hit. I think they're just there to make parents scared. Yeah, but if you're really worried, go to a speech pathologist or a pediatrician and have it checked out. I work with kids and I absolutely agree. Sorry, goodbye. Slow goodbye. So yeah, just goodbye. Yeah, the quicker the better. Pulling off a band-aid. Any tips on conflict resolution with siblings fighting? I have 4 ages 11, 9, 7, and 4. Oh, there's a million different ways to go about that. I don't know what they're fighting over. If they're fighting over something, I would generally just take it away. Or else if there's a piece of something and they want to cut it up, I would say, well, you take turns, one cuts, then the other one chooses, and you just have to keep track of who chose, or you cut it in half and then you cut it and give it to 2, and then one cuts, the other one chooses. Or if they're fighting over something, say you can have it for 2 minutes. When the 2 minutes is up, you can have it for 2 minutes. There's a million different ways. They'll get so bored with you managing that they'll just learn how to get along. But yeah. Also, siblings who, there's so many different ways I could go about this. Siblings who fight. A lot of parents say, I don't know why they fight. I do so much one-on-one time with each one. It's the worst thing you can do. Builds resentment and hatred. So you only play as a group with the whole family, and do something silly and ridiculous, like do something that like TikTok dances or something that you can all do. You don't play anything competitive. Like you don't pull out the game of Risk when you're playing, like trying to get kids to get along. They're going to kill each other or fall asleep. So yeah, just do silly stuff as a family with all of them. You teach them how to get along. A lot of parents are always trying to stop them from fighting. Have you taught them how to play? Like, have you been involved in actually having fun with them? My kids were 5 years apart, a boy and a girl. How much did they have in common? Not much, okay? So, but one thing they had in common was laughing at me, because we did a lot of silly game stuff together and we just goofed around all the time. And so they were laughing at me all the time. That's how they bonded. So, yeah. My son is great, but bedtime is a nightmare. He melts down. Okay, check out my bedtime battles course. It goes into it. It's 2 parts: how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. Keeping them there is the hard part, and it's usually one night of hell. Might be 2, but yeah, it's not pretty. It's ugly, but it works. Sometimes you just got to do the hard stuff. But yeah, it's not a pleasant night. Every time I go through it with a client, I just went through it with a client today, I think. Anyway, I went through bedtime battles. So, and I, and whenever I tell them, I'm thinking, oh, they're going to have a fun night. I always feel kind of bad for them, but it's worth it. It's like anything. You got to be willing to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow. How do we get them to behave well without them getting upset? You can't. You're upsetting the apple cart. You're taking charge. They've been in charge. Now you're taking charge. They're going to fight back. It's a power struggle, right? Because if you're not in charge, that's probably why you're here, because you're not in charge. You're not the leader yet. So they are, and they're going to fight to keep that position. The funny thing is they don't want it. They instinctively want a leader, and their being difficult is them screaming for leadership. Because the reason I know this, and I do know this, the reason I know this is the more difficult the kid that I worked with, the quicker they were for me to get respect. It's almost like they go, oh, finally a leader. Like this is what they've been screaming for. So yeah, whenever kids are acting out, I think, oh, that they're just crying for leadership. That's all. Kids instinctively need, crave, and want a leader. By the way, if you're not a leader for your children at home, you're going to send them out in the world very vulnerable. They're going to be very susceptible to bullying, peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to go searching out leaders somewhere else. They're going to be very vulnerable out there. Because when they've got a leader at home, they've got someone to bounce they'll tell you everything. And they've got someone to go home and run everything by. And I never really gave advice. I just listened and I'd say, that would be frustrating. They'd say, what should we do? And I said, well, let's figure it out. I was always trying to get them to problem solve. They're both my kids are really good problem solvers. They're not ones to come to me with, what should I do? They're very good at taking charge of themselves. They're very good at problem solving. Actually, they're better than me. And my mom didn't solve my problems either. So I don't know why I wasn't as good at it. I still went to my mom, what should I do? What should I do? My kids haven't done that as much. They tell me stuff, but they don't ask me, what should I do? I was more inclined to do that with my mom. Different personality. I'm 27 years old and I still cry because my mother left me alone at school when I was 5 years old. That's because she dragged out the goodbye. Tell you a funny story. My son was 12 and it's the only time he ever heard me yell. It wasn't even really a yell, but I raised my voice. And what had happened was he took out the garbage. And I always said, if you're going to take out the garbage, you have to pick it up by the two bins, not just the lid, because the lid will fall off and the garbage and recycling is going to go everywhere. Sure enough, he was in a rush. He's 12 years old. He goes, picks it up by the lid and everything goes flying. And I went, how could you do that? And I'd never yelled before. He'd never heard me yell. He turned completely white. His lips went white and everything. Like he looked like a ghost. So he went in his room all quiet and I instantly went, oh my God, because I'm not a yeller. I've never yelled before. And even then it wasn't really yelling. I don't know. Anyway, it was still, he'd never heard that before. So I went in there and I said, I'm really sorry. I feel terrible. I overreacted. You're trying to do something nice, taking out the garbage, and then I lose it. So anyway, I said, I'll tell you what, I feel really bad about that. So how about I buy you a new PlayStation game? So I did. And he was all happy after that. But then he kept, every time he'd take out the garbage, he'd go, whoa, 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 hoping to get a PlayStation game out of me. But you know what was funny? For years after that, he said that was the most traumatic event in his life, was me yelling at him for dropping the garbage. Because if you've never been yelled at before, it's very traumatic. It's like it just hits you in the heart, right? So isn't that interesting? So yeah, 27 years old. He's 34. I don't think it's the most traumatic event in his life, but maybe it is. But you know what I said throughout the years, because I got him a PlayStation game out of it, and it wasn't really, I didn't attack him, and I didn't, it was, anyway. So every time he'd say, that was so, I still remember that, and I'd say, oh, suck it up, princess. Get over it. But anyway. Okay, really good question. And this, a lot of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. And the child psychologists, we discuss this. Would you share your beliefs on kids' personalities? Do you believe they come with the personality they have, or is it developed by the way they are raised? And you said, sorry, my English, I speak Portuguese. Well, the English was pretty darn perfect, better than mine. But anyway, okay, personality. You're born with certain tendencies. Absolutely. You're born with certain tendencies. But your behavior and how you treat people, your manners, your social skills, a lot of that is learned behavior. It's what you see your parents do. So a lot of that was it's how you behave. But what you're thinking and your basic personality is kind of set. Like my mom said, you were born confident. like from day one. She goes, you just, like, I wouldn't be fed without a spoon in my hand, but I wasn't a crier and I never had a tantrum. But she said you wouldn't eat unless you had a spoon in your hand. And I was tiny, she said, but you had to think and I was just holding the spoon while she fed me. She goes, you had to feel you were doing it yourself. I was very independent. Now that was not learned behavior. And my son had tantrums. That's something it's a tendency you're born with. There are four annoying tendencies that kids are born with, and it's nothing you did. You can help get them out of them. But one is tantrums, one is climbing, one is running, and one is hitting. They're either born to do those things or they'll never do them. My daughter never did any. My son just did the tantrums, and he didn't have a lot of them. But yeah, so there are certain tendencies we are born with. You definitely can mold a lot of their social skills, for sure. Their manners, their respect, how they treat people, for sure. But then they'll get out in the world, they become adults, and then other people will have more influence. Who they partner with, who they work with, they'll have influence too. But their basic nature, I do think it is in there. Yeah, I do think so. But it's the manners and the social skills is what you can definitely change. Because I always say their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 is 100% a direct result of your parenting. And both my kids could talk to anybody. And my brother and I too. My mother was extremely extroverted, social, and so am I. And so is their dad, my kid's dad. So our kids can talk to anybody, like can go anywhere and talk to anyone. And so could my brother and I. So that's learned behavior, your social skills, a lot of that. Okay, I like this. You're so realistic. I love this. I have no clue how to be phony. You know what? I was talking to a client and I said, we were talking about our pet peeves. And I said, one of my pet peeves with people, I don't like charm. You know, like that Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver. Hello, Mrs. Cleaver. Aren't you looking lovely today? I hate that. And I hate if anyone comes up to me and says, oh, hi, you're even better looking in person than you are on it. And I'm like, I don't like stuff like that. I don't like charm because I always think, what's it hiding? All that charm and, you know, oh, you're looking lovely. It's so nice to me. All that phony stuff. I have a real thing about it. So yeah, I don't like charm. What you see is what you get. I don't have any. I think like I just don't have any charm at all. It's not because it's not something I like. I like real. You show me who you are. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just show me who you are. And anyone with charm is insecure because what are they hiding behind? What are they hiding? Yeah, I got nothing to hide. I'm not that interesting. So yeah, don't like charm at all. The more charming you are, the faster I'll run away. Can we work with you one-on-one via Zoom? Yeah, that would be coaching. That's my coaching services. Check it out above. I can't always take people on because my schedule is pretty packed, but I did finish with a bunch of people last week, and I've got some other people that haven't quite signed up yet but are showing interest. So what you have to do is if you want to sign up for coaching, check it out first, though. Don't just email me about it. Check it out first. And then email me and say, I'd like to sign up. But then you have to tell me what your challenges are and what the ages of your children. And if it's nothing big, I'll probably try and send you to the boot camp course. The Kardashians, yeah. Oops, what time is it? Oh, phew. I'm always worried about being late. Okay, sorry, I had to scroll ahead because people come and go, and I don't want to answer questions unless people are here. So. My 8-year-old is so quick to anger and screams a lot. Okay, that means he doesn't have a leader. That means he doesn't respect you. He's feeling lost. He doesn't feel safe. He doesn't know where to turn. So that's your leadership. Work on your leadership, and that won't happen generally, unless he has something going on with him. I don't know, but generally that is it's a sign of that you're not a leader. Work on you. Work on your leadership skills. It tends to calm them down. It just does. They feel safe. They feel heard. They feel good about themselves when they have a leader. It calms them down. What's the oldest age of child you work with? Okay, I specialize in troubled teenagers. But the oldest I worked with, it was a few years ago, and it was 25 years old. Very immature, though. Completely dependent upon the parents, had no job, still living at home, obviously. That's why I agreed to work with that child, 25-year-old child. But normally it goes up to 18, 17, 18. But they have to be living at home and be financially dependent upon you. That's not always the case. Sometimes they're living with the other person and you want to connect with them and you have no contact with them. I've been hired for that too. So they don't always have to be living with you. Okay, do most of these principles apply to children exposed to drugs, alcohol, and utero? That's the NAS babies. I used to work with them. They lack impulse control. That is the biggest challenge, especially when they're teenagers and the hormones kick in. NAS is narcotic addiction syndrome. It has different names in different states and countries and that, but it's just they're born addicted to something, okay? And what happens is down the road, especially around 3 or 4, you'll start to see it. They just don't have impulse control because that's when they start to develop it, is 3 and 4 years old around then. And then they struggle with it. And then when the teen years hit, wow, that can be a real problem. So all the same rules apply. It just takes a little bit more patience and maybe a bit more time. So, but all the same rules apply. But it is going to be more of a challenge, no doubt. How do we as parents work on leadership skills? If you want to learn how to be a leader in 5 weeks, that would be my boot camp course. That's in the link above. If you want, my behavior board is completely free. The boot camp course starts with the behavior board, but of course it's got a whole bunch of other stuff in there. But my whole business, the way I teach it, it's based on that behavior board. That's my teaching tool. Like I would never use a behavior board, but it teaches you how to get started. It's step 1. Week 1 is step 1. A rule and a consequence for every family member, 3 and over. And you start small. If you're doing it on your own, start with something you know you can handle. Yeah. I'm going to read out my top 3 leadership qualities. They're short but sweet. Number 1 is you're calm during the storms. So when everything's like you're disciplining in that and they're doing something, naughty, you stay calm. It's like a business. There's no emotions. Number 2 is you're crazy during the rainbows. When you're playing with your kids and everything's happy, just be crazy and goofy and best buddies with your kids. And then the last one is be a good listener. Kids, you want to listen to understand and show empathy. And you don't want to listen to gather information to lecture with and give advice. Not everyone wants their problem solved. You tell a friend a problem, you just want to unload. You don't want them to say, okay, here's what you do, right? You just want someone to listen. That's what kids want too. And as they get older, you want to do that even more and more, just listening. But yeah, even young children, they love it when you just listen to them and you show empathy. Yeah, that would be frustrating. I can see how, that would be really annoying. And then stop talking. Don't say, you know what you should do? Yeah, hold back. They'll ask you if they want your advice. The better you get at that, I call it silent listening. The better you get at that, the more they'll tell you right through the teen years. Can you give an example of being a leader to kids who are in a consequence and are still angry and yelling for a long time after? Okay, that's easy. So it's not easy to do, but it's an easy answer. Okay, so let's say you said, okay, so you didn't do the first consequence. You didn't vacuum the kitchen within 50 minutes being asked to do so. So now you've got 24-hour media blackout. Do you understand? And it starts now. And that's it. They're yelling, they're screaming. You might go like this initially, like, okay, and then just go about your business. Like, it's none of your business how they react. That's their business. Don't react to that. You want them to react to your leadership. You don't react to their crazy stuff, right? Don't react to that. If they're older and they're really getting crazy, you just go, whatever. Oh, not fair. I hate you. I hate you. And then you just kind of ignore it and, whatever. What I might say, though, is if they're 8, 9 years old and older, if they keep coming at you, I might say something like this okay, I'd only do this when they're 9. And I mean when they're coming at you, swearing at you and everything really bad. So because you've imposed the 24-hour media blackout, okay? So they're really coming at you. I would say, I'll tell you what, if you keep coming at me, we'll double that media blackout, 48 hours. What do you want to do? And go silent. Silence is golden. And then it's up to them. I hate doing that though. But you just got to show, hey, wait a minute, I'm willing to go that extra mile. Only do that 9 and over, and only if they really get nasty. I hardly ever use that in coaching because then you got 48 whole hours where you can't do anything. You got no leverage. Okay, so now once they've calmed down, it might take an hour or two. They've calmed down. This is what you do. You always do media blackout with them, right? There's no way you should be on your phone when the kid's got media blackout. It's just, oh, this is great. You do it with them. You say, hey, look, then as soon as they calm down, hey, look, I'm doing media blackout with you. I'm not going to go on a screen when you haven't got one. So I'm going to do it with you. How about we play a game? No, I hate you. I hate you. Okay, never mind. Walk away. An hour later, you ready for that game now? You're always trying to connect. Whether or not they ever play that game is irrelevant to me. You just keep offering. Leaders keep offering. You take the high road. You're the adult here. They're just a child. You're always trying to connect with them. Hey, didn't want to play a game? You want to go for a walk in the park? No, I hate you. Alrighty then. And then just walk away an hour later. Ready for that walk now? Just keep coming at them, coming at them. They may never connect with you. That's okay. You've already done what you need to do. You show them you're not mad, and you show them that you love them. Tips for 2-year-old runner, hates bracelet, leash, and stroller. So, do they hate the car seat too and you let them run around there? It's a safety issue. Put them in the stroller and put them on a leash. Absolutely. Don't let a 2-year-old tell you what to do. They probably hate vegetables and just want to eat chocolate all day. You meet their needs and manage their wants. A lot of parents get those mixed up. Their needs are safety and not running. So you got to meet those needs. You're getting needs and wants mixed up. Yeah. So what if they hate it? My son for a while hated getting in the car seat. Did I let him fly around in the car because he hated it? Oh, he got in that car seat. And he knew. He knew mom was always going to win. So, yeah. Oh, how young can a baby start to learn to read? I'm anti-accelerated learning. Don't even ask me why, or I'll go off on a huge rant. Can't stand it. Let them be babies. Let them be kids. Don't rush it. You're not doing them any favor. Then they're going to turn up in grade 1. And they've already learned the alphabet, and then they're going to act out because they're bored. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make them smarter. It's just something that parents can brag about. It's just for the parents. Okay, I'm going to move over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. You have to apply for coaching these days because I'm really selective now too because I'm just super busy. So, and I like to mix up the ages. And so if I can't take you on for coaching, it's maybe because I have too many 17-year-old boys or you know what I mean? I like to mix up the ages. Anyway, thanks so much. I'm going over to TikTok now and I'm on YouTube the whole time where all my lives are saved. Happy parenting. Oops, I'm on the wrong TikTok channel. I've turned up on my personal one before and it's just people turn up and they go, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Okay. Oops. Okay, I'm going to look at YouTube. What about the anxiety and worries about my children? You want me to tell you how to control yourself? I can't. Once you become a leader, you tend to calm down anyway. It's your own personal battle. That's like saying, I want to lose weight, but how do I not eat a chocolate cake? I mean, that's your battle. You have to learn the control. That's up to you. I can't help you with that. I can't help you control your own emotions. You have to figure out how to do that. But once things get easier with the kids, usually you calm down. But it's going to be hard at first.